It is now 9 a.m. on Wednesday, June 3rd, and we are going to begin the Board of Directors Special Workshop. And I'd like to call to order, please, and have a roll call.
Director Meyerhoffen. Director Martin.
Here.
Director Sewell.
Here.
Vice President Griffith.
Present.
President Duff.
Present.
Thank you. We have quorum.
And did we receive any requests for remote attendance for Director Meyerhoffen?
No, we did not.
Okay, we'll go ahead and skip that. And do we have any public online or present that would like to make public comment? This is the opportunity in 3 minutes or less for members of the public to address the board on items that are not on the agenda.
President Duff, I do not see any online.
And there are none present, so we will move right along. The first action item today is a public hearing. And so with that, this is the time and place set for the public hearing to receive protests, objections, or appeals regarding the proposed adoption of the 2025 Coachella Valley Regional Urban Water Management Plan and the 2025 Water Storage Contingency Plan. I now declare the public hearing open. Staff will present their report, after which I will invite public comment. During public comment, there will be no dialogue between members of the public, the board, and staff. Any questions raised will be noted and addressed after all comments have been received. The public hearing will then be closed, and the board may proceed with discussion and action on proposed items. May I have the secretary's report, please?
Notice of this public hearing was published in the Desert Sun on May 19th and May 24th, 2026. As of this afternoon, no written comments, protests, or objections have been received.
And staff report, please.
Yes, I'll ask Assistant General Manager Marion Champion to take this item. Marion?
Thank you, General Manager Macy, and good morning, President Duff and members of the board. California's Urban Water Management Planning Act requires urban water suppliers in the state to adopt an urban water management plan once every 5 years. This plan includes a forecast of the supplier's water demands and available supplies for the next 25 years, an assessment of the reliability of those supplies during normal and drought conditions, programs that the water supplier has in place to encourage water efficiency, and actions that the supplier could take to reduce demand in times of supply shortages. Our 2025 Urban Water Management Plan is due to the California Department of Water Resources by July 1st, 2026. MSWD has collaborated with CVWD, Coachella Water Authority, Desert Water Agency, Indio Water Authority, and Myoma Dunes to create a joint regional urban water management plan. Chapters 1 through 3 provide an introduction and overview of the regional water supplies, while chapters 4 through 9 address individual agency requirements. Chapter 8 specifically addresses MSWD. In addition, each agency has prepared a water shortage contingency plan to describe water shortage responses, especially if in an extended drought or sudden event like an earthquake, we can enact the water shortage plan may be implemented. Each agency's water supply contingency plan defines 6 levels of shortage and outlines the actions that will be required for customers at each level. The 6 agencies have aligned their actions of their plans so that as much as possible to maintain consistent requirements and messaging for customers throughout the Coachella Valley. This is important. We've seen in the last couple droughts where we try to keep consistent as much as possible. A public review period for the 2025 plan and the 2025 water supply contingency plan was held from April 13th, 2026 to May 3rd, 2026. All public comments received have already been incorporated, and today's public hearing is being held to provide additional opportunities for the public to make comments on the plan prior to its adoption. Notice of the public hearing, as Will just mentioned, was published in the Desert Sun in accordance with State Water Code and Governmental Code. And MSWD will be the 3rd agency to hold its public hearing. CVWD held their hearing last week. DWA held their hearing yesterday, and I believe Indio is holding theirs this evening. The draft of the regional urban water management may still be amended by changes incorporated by our board or any of the other boards in the region as a result of the input received at their respective public hearings. To give you an overview of the regional plan is water, and the water shortage contingency plan is watershed scientist Emily McCord, who has been instrumental pulling this all together. Emily?
Thank you so much, Marian. I'll go ahead and get started once the presentation PowerPoint comes online. But, hello, board members, staff, and community members, and thank you so much for having me here today. As Marian said, my name is Emily McCord, and I'm with Rincon Consultants, and we assisted in writing the 2025 Coachella Valley Regional Urban Water Management Plan, or UWMP, alongside Todd Groundwater, on behalf of 6 agencies within the Coachella Valley, including Mission Springs Water District. And I'm going to walk you through the core elements of the report today. Next slide, please. The first thing I'm going to do is give an overview of the UWMP Act and its requirements. Then I'll give an overview of the Coachella Valley and where Mission Springs Water District is within the region. I'll go over the UWMP's projections for water demand and conservation into the future, both for the region as a whole and for the district individually. Next, I'll discuss the water supply portfolio of the region and where the region's water comes from. I'll then discuss the reliability of those water sources. After that, I'll talk about the district's water shortage contingency plan. And finally, I'll finish off by going over the report timeline through the submittal to the Department of Water Resources at the end of the month. Next slide, please. The UWMP Act is a California law that was created in 1984 by Assembly Bill 797. It requires that every urban water supplier that provides water for municipal purposes, either directly or indirectly, with more than 3,000 customers or supplying more than 3,000 acre-feet of water per year, must adopt and submit a UWMP. These UWMPs must be submitted and adopted every 5 years by July 1st. Multiple agencies can collaborate to prepare a regional UWMP, which is what the district has done along with 5 other agencies for the Coachella Valley Regional UWMP. Core requirements for the UWMP include a description of the water service area, water use supply sources, demand management and other conservation measures, drought risk assessment, and water shortage contingency plan. Overall, UWMPs help water districts with long-term water resource planning and ensure they have sufficient supply for anticipated future water demands. The district is submitting a regional UWMP along with 5 other agencies shown here on this map on the left. They're Coachella Valley Water District, Coachella Water Authority, Desert Water Agency, the City of Indio, and Myoma Dunes Mutual Water Company. The district's water service area is the hatched area in the northwest portion of the valley on this map here. And collectively, the 6 water agencies provide potable water to over 183,600 urban connections, such as single-family residences, apartment complexes, and commercial buildings, with more than 196,000 acre-feet of potable water annually. There are 4 groundwater replenishment facilities in the region, one of which is in the district service area, that provide more than 616,000 acre-feet of recharge capacity. There are 9 wastewater treatment or reclamation facilities, 2 of which are in the district service area, and more than an estimated 3,300 miles of pipeline infrastructure that brings the potable water from production facilities to urban connections. MSWD has 13,213 connections and currently serves 7,897 acre-feet per year of water within its surface area. Next slide, please. As part of the UWMP, we projected demand for the region through 2050. This demand was based on population, housing, and employment projections by the Southern California Association of Governments, or SCAG. These regional growth projections are based on the best data available for future build-out in the area. SCAG coordinated with all of the local municipalities, including the City of Desert Hot Springs, to ensure that the growth forecast reflects local land use plans. Overall, water demand is expected to increase over the next 25 years to a total of about 193,000 acre-feet per year across the region. As we'll go over in more detail in later slides, this increase in supply can be reliably met with supply from the Indio and Mission Creek subbasins, which is supplemented with imported water. Additionally, increased recycled water use and surface water use will offset some of the future groundwater uses. Next slide, please. This graph shows the projected demand for the district specifically, both based only on demographic growth from SCAG, which is the dotted line, and with estimated future conservation, the light blue solid line. SCAG forecasts an 84% increase in baseline water demand due to population growth over the next 25 years, up to 15,557 acre-feet by 2050. But with assumed conservation, the district would have a 23% demand reduction down to 11,991 acre-feet per year by 2050. Overall, potable water is anticipated to be offset by the many conservation efforts the district is undertaking to reduce water use. Next slide, please. The demand forecast included both passive conservation from plumbing code changes as devices like washing machines and toilets are replaced with more efficient versions, and active conservation from regional water conservation programs such as rebates for water-saving devices. Other demand management measures include water waste prevention ordinances, metering, conservation pricing, public education and outreach, programs to assess and manage water loss, and water conservation program coordination and staffing support, and more. Next slide, please. Across the Coachella Valley, urban water demands are served primarily by groundwater pumping. Groundwater is supplemented with local surface water diverted by DWA, imported Colorado River water served the East Valley municipal uses like schools and HOAs by CVWD, and recycled water served by CVWD and DWA. While the district is currently solely supplied by groundwater from the Mission Creek subbasin, the blue basin in the middle of the map, future groundwater supply is anticipated to be augmented by recycled water from the Nancy Wright Regional Water Reclamation Facility. Regionally imported water from the Colorado River and the State Water Project are used to supplement the groundwater at the 4 groundwater recharge facilities mentioned previously, which you can see on the map here, in the Indian Subbasin in green and the Mission Creek Subbasin in blue. DWA and CVWD have contracts for State Water Project water, which they exchange with Metropolitan for delivery to the Whitewater River Groundwater Reclamation Facility and the Mission Creek Groundwater Reclamation Facility. Next slide, please. The Coachella Valley does not receive enough natural replenishment from precipitation to serve all water demands. But fortunately, the imported water that is used for groundwater replenishment provides the region with a buffer against dry hydraulic conditions. The regional water agencies collectively manage both Mission Creek and Indio subbasins to ensure sustainability. Additionally, there are other alternative sources of supply, such as recycled water, to help offset groundwater use. With these offsets in mind, we evaluated the ability of the agencies to meet forecasted demands in single dry and multiple dry year conditions. None of the agencies anticipate any supply shortages into year 2050 due to the robust groundwater management undertaken in the valley. In addition, there are also conservation programs and water shortage contingency plans that encourage customers to use water more efficiently, which I'll go into more detail about over the next few slides. Next slide, please. Part of the requirement of the UWMP Act is for agencies to create a water shortage contingency plan, or WSCP. This plan describes how the agency intends to predict and respond to foreseeable and unforeseeable water shortages, or any time water supplies are not sufficient to support typical demand. WSCPs are typically implemented during multi-year droughts, but can also be implemented due to other circumstances that impact supply. The core components of the WSCP include 6 shortage stages, response actions for each stage, communication protocols, compliance and enforcement, and monitoring and reporting. Next slide, please. The district's WSCP has demand reduction actions for each of the 6 standard shortage stages. A level 1 shortage is implemented when there's up to 10% decrease in anticipated supply. Supplies are still generally within a normal range, but some state prohibitions and rebate programs are put in place, including water waste prohibitions, leak repairs, and landscape and plumbing rebates. A level 2 shortage is implemented when there's up to 20% decrease in anticipated supply. Supplies are anticipated to be slightly limited, and measures such as outdoor water time limits and water patrols are implemented. A level 3 shortage is implemented when there's up to 30% decrease in anticipated supply. Supplies are anticipated to be moderately limited, and measures such as restrictions on watering days and pool filling are put in place, with limiting irrigation to 3 days per week. A level 4 shortage is implemented when there's up to 40% decrease in anticipated supply. Supplies are anticipated to be limited, and limits on new landscaping and increased public outreach are implemented, along with drought rate surcharges. A level 5 shortage is implemented when there's up to 50% decrease in anticipated supply. Supplies are anticipated to be significantly limited, and broad restrictions on watering are implemented. And finally, a level 6 shortage is implemented when there's greater than 50% decrease in anticipated supply. A severe water shortage is anticipated, and portable outdoor water use is prohibited. In addition to these demand reduction actions, supply augmentation is implemented, with emergency interconnections and water exchanges with neighboring agencies implemented at levels 1 through 6, and the potential development of additional non-potable sources, such as shallow groundwater wells, at level 6. Next slide, please. The district has 4 levels of penalties to enforce the WSCP. The first violation incurs a written notice, then a $100 surcharge, then a $200 surcharge and/or a flow restricting device. Subsequent violations are met with service discontinuance, reconnection fees, and fines of up to $500 per day. The enforcement measures for the WSCP apply to all water shortages, 1 through 6. Next slide, please. Finally, I want to take you through the UWMP and WSCP timeline. The draft UWMP was released for public review and comment, and the final draft was made available on May 12th. Both documents are available online at the link here. CVWD and DWA had their public hearings on May 27th and June 2nd. We're having this public hearing for the district today, June 3rd. CWA, MD, MWC, and the City of Indio will have their public hearings over the next 2 weeks. Once all comments from the public hearings are incorporated, the final documents will be submitted to the Department of Water Resources by July 1st, 2026. Next slide, please. Thank you so much for having me here to present today, and please let me know if you have any questions or comments.
Thank you very much for your presentation. We appreciate it. Do I have any members of the public online?
President Duff, we do have one speaker online. If you are
Okay,
here
then
for public comment, please unmute your microphone.
give me 1 second, please, Will, just 1 second.
Oh, thank you.
I have a statement to say first. For the public speakers, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. In the interest of efficiency, please avoid repeating points that have already been made. There will be no dialogue between members of the public, the board, and staff during the public hearing. Any questions raised will be addressed after public comment has concluded. At this time, the members of the public who wish to address the board can begin to raise their hand. And Will, can you call on them one at a time?
Yes. Again, if you are here for public comment on this item, please unmute your microphone and we will call on you. Okay, Esperanza Sanctuary, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Tabitha Davies, and I'm a resident of ID8, which is the Desert Edge Sky Valley Indio Hills area, and I'm here on the record. I want to speak to what it means for this board to adopt the 2025 thing that this community has been through. So let's be honest about what happened. CVWD attempted it because you wanted us. So that stated reason was Chromium 6 compliance. but that's not why it was. And the issue that I have is that the record shows that it was the DHS City Council publicly stating that the biggest barrier to the I-10 corridor development was the lack of your sewer access and the water connected
I'm
to
sorry,
that.
Ms. Davies. Ms.
Transferring
Davies?
ID8 clears that regulatory path.
Ms. Davies? I'm sorry to interrupt. This is a public hearing.
Excuse me?
Yes, Ms. Davies, this is President
Yeah.
Duff. This is a public hearing.
It is. I'm reclaiming my time.
Continue.
It is connected to the exact issue. So as we found out, we showed up. We did our own research. And I'm really glad that you're bringing this exactly, because was ID8 ever considered in all of the research for this prop piece that you were folding into it? Because at the end of the day, your community deserves to have accountability for the time and effort and money that was spent on this divestiture attempt, especially if this regional plan does not reflect the ID8 system that you're attempting to take in. So I think that those answers are needed and they're not rhetorical. I also want to know that, I want you to know that we are actively tracking how this plan connects broader supply interests in the Valley, including Cadiz. We have public record requests pending. We will be reading the plan carefully. And to the board members, I would strongly encourage each of you to exercise independent judgment, ask your own questions, and do not just stamp what your staff presents to you, because everyone is now watching and none of us are going away. And your community deserves to have you be accountable to them for all of the time and effort. At the end of this, I'm going to say, Marianne, thank you for joining the moms group, giving your comment, because you gave me exactly the clarity I needed to research and questions. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you for your comments. Do I have anyone here to comment regarding item number 5?
If you are here online for public comment on item number 5, please unmute your microphone.
All right, seeing no comments regarding item number 5, I will continue and move forward and declare the public hearing now closed. It is now time for the board discussion if necessary. Do we have any comments or questions from Director Martin? Director Sewell?
No, thank you.
Vice President Griffith? No. The only statement I have is, given that we are not last on the list and changes can be made, I want to make sure that staff brings this back if any substantive changes are made by other districts. But seeing no further questions or comments from the board, I would like to move forward with taking action and call for a motion.
I will move. Second.
And with that, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Director Martin,
Yes.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Duff.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, moving right along, we have item number 6, Register of Demands. General Manager Macy, please.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. This item is being brought back to you as it was in its Register of Demands for the month of April. In the last month's board meeting, the Register of Demands did not have description keys as we're going through a change in our finance system. But we wanted to make sure from a transparency perspective, we brought this back to you with those descriptions. It is now included in your packet and ready for action.
Fantastic. Do we have any questions or comments regarding the Register of Demands from the board? Director Martin?
No.
Director Sewell? Vice President? No. And I also have none. I did review them both the first time and this reiterated time. So I appreciate the clarity on the reprints that you've provided. Thank you very much. And with that,
I move we accept the register demands.
thank you.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
President Duff.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, Will. And that'll move us to discussion items. Number 7, fiscal year 2026-27 budget review and discussion. Review and discuss the budget. General Manager,
Thank
please
you.
proceed.
Thank you, President Duff. As we bring up Skylar Albury, our accounting manager, I just wanted to reiterate that why this is a workshop and it's typically we don't have action items and we did have action items here. This is a workshop and intended to be a discussion. So while we do have a lot of information to present, please stop, interrupt at any time, ask questions because our budget is probably the most important document we bring back to you on a yearly basis. And we want to make sure that every answer or every question is asked and then answered. So with that being said, Skylar.
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good morning, President Duff and members of the board. I am here to present preliminary budget numbers for the fiscal year 2027. Here you will see the proposed budget summary for the upcoming fiscal year with comparison data from fiscal years 2025 and 2026. For the fiscal year 2025 and 2026 budgets, the Desert Water Agency groundwater replenishment fees that we collect from customers and remit to DWA were listed as negative revenue and negative expense budgets. I am not sure why. The amounts we collect from customers are positive revenues, and the amounts we remit to DWA are positive expenses. I corrected this in fiscal year 2027 and then also updated in fiscal years 2025 and 2026 for comparison purposes. The fiscal year 2027 operating revenues of $25.8 million include the 9% increase in water rates and 7% increase in sewer rates. Revenues were then adjusted to be in line with prior year results. For example, backup facilities charges received have historically been quite a bit higher than budgeted, so the operating revenue budget was increased by $358,000 in fiscal year 2027. Operating expenses are proposed to be approximately $31.7 million in fiscal year 2027, a 6% increase from the prior year. We will get into the changes included later in the presentation. Non-operating revenue is expected to be $20.5 million as opposed to $27.5 million in the prior year. This is mainly due to the decrease of $5.2 million in grant revenues as we are using the remaining $11.9 million in the State Water Resource Control Board wastewater grant balance. There's also a reduction in investment income to be more consistent with actual results in prior years. I also budgeted $0 in investment gain and losses due to the change in fair market value, while we budgeted $1.5 million in investment gains in fiscal year 2026. No one knows how the market will end next year, so I would rather be conservative and not budget any investment gains. Non-operating expenses total $300,000. This is the interest expense related to the district's long-term debt. This comes to a total change in net position of $14.4 million, which is reported on the district's income statement and the audited financial statements. Does anyone have any questions on this slide before we move on?
No, thank you.
Okay. Now to everyone's favorite part of the financials, the cash flows. To calculate the cash flows, we take the total change in net position from the previous slide and then adjust for any non-cash related items to come to our total cash flow for the year. Since we have the final data for fiscal year 2025, no calculation was necessary. $19.6 million was the actual cash flow for the year. For fiscal year 2027, we add depreciation because no cash exchanges hands. The cash outflows went out when the capital projects were being completed, while the expense gets allocated over the life of the asset. This creates a timing variance between the expense and the cash outflow. We pay for our projects up front, and then we need to recoup the cash back into our capital reserve for future capital projects. We also need to add back amortization expenses for our leases and subscription-based IT arrangements, since no money is exchanging hands. We are just allocating the total cost over the life of the contracts. Pension expense gets added when we book the change in the net pension liability. You will hear this called GASB 68, in which accounting books our journal entries at year end related to pensions. The district does not make any cash payments at this time. The balance is added to the liability, and the district will make those payments in the future. We then add the expected debt issuance totaling 28 million to finance half of the admin building and a water booster station. We then reduce for expected capital projects incurred during the fiscal year. This forecast total of 43.3 million assumes that the admin building will be fully complete in fiscal year 2027 and will be fully reimbursed with the bond proceeds. This results in a $4.8 million positive cash flow for the year. This is quite a bit lower than the two prior years of approximately 20 million, but it is to be expected with our capital improvement program, specifically the admin building. Does anyone have any questions on cash flows before we move on?
I do actually. I just wanted to add a little additional clarity. I believe the last 2 years included the Wells Fargo line of credit in the cash amount.
Correct, yes.
So with paying that off.
Yeah, we did have a decrease in 15 million.
Thank you.
Right,
Thank you very much. So we would have been at almost 20 if we had still maintained that line of credit.
Correct, yes.
So we really don't have a very large change in comparison to the last couple of years. We just paid off debt.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much. Continue.
All right, thank you. On this next slide, you will see our current cash and investment balances. In our Wells Fargo operating account, we keep roughly $3.5 million in the account. Any additional funds get moved to the Wells Fargo sweep account, totaling approximately 31 million. Our sweep account has a 4.2% investment return year to date. Our CalTrust account, totaling 35.1 million, is invested into 3 various funds: short-term, medium-term, and liquidity. Roughly 70% of the balance is in medium-term, 22% in short-term, and 8% in liquidity. The year-to-date investment return of the CalTrust account as a whole is 3.3%. Once we add the forecasted cash flows from the previous slide, this gives us a total forecasted cash and investments amount of 74.4 million as of June 30, 2027. Does anyone have any questions on our cash and investments before we move on? Thank you. Okay, so this next slide presents the total change in net position and budget surplus by fund. You will see we have a budget surplus of 2.1 million in the general fund and in total. This is property taxes and investment income in the general fund, which are presented as non-operating revenue. The general fund surplus for non-operating revenues has been the practice in previous years as well for the district. We allocate all expenses out of the general fund to water and sewer based on proportionate expenses, which is why you see $0 listed in both operating and non-operating expenses for the general fund. The allocation is generally around 65% water and 35% sewer. You will see that I have backed out restricted revenues, or in this case, grants that the district has been awarded. The $250,000 in the general fund is a cybersecurity grant, and the $11.9 million in the sewer fund is the remaining balance in the State Water Resources Control Board grants. You do not want to use restricted revenues to balance a budget. Neither of these grants could be used to fund routine operating activities of the district, therefore should not be used to balance a budget. You will see both water and sewer funds have balanced budgets after backing these amounts out. The budget surplus of 2.1 million will go into the reserves and be used to fund future capital projects. Does anyone have any questions on this slide before we move on?
I just have one question about the operating expenses.
Yes.
For the water fund. The rack rate, the rack charge.
Yes.
Are we accounting for the increase that's coming this year?
I believe I kept the budgets the same, if I remember correctly, for the rack fee, which will be in the details that I handed out that we get to. So you will see one line for the rack assessments for the revenue, and then one line for the expenses as well, titled groundwater replenishments, I believe is what the account is called.
Okay.
But you will see them in the 201 fund.
If DWA does decide to elevate
We
our
did.
So what happens is that will then change the rate that we pay, and that's a pass through. So what we will do is we recalculate the charge that we put on our bill to make up for that cost. So it's basically a net change. If they go up, then ours automatically goes up. So we'll collect the appropriate revenue for
Okay.
that appropriate expense.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions on this slide before we move on? No? Okay. Okay, next you will see the changes to FTEs or full-time equivalence positions. We are proposing one new position, a regulatory compliance and safety officer. I say new because the district doesn't currently have this as an authorized position. This was an authorized position in previous years, though. The position will assist in making sure the district follows applicable laws, regulations, permits, and safety requirements while ensuring employees, customers, and the environment are protected. We are proposing to reclassify an engineering technician 2 position to senior engineering technician and a customer service manager to a customer service supervisor position to better align staffing contributions with the needs of the district. Does anyone have any questions on positions before we move on? Okay. And then on this slide, I wanted to present the most material changes from the fiscal year 2026 budget to the fiscal year 2027 budget. We just discussed the addition of the regulatory compliance and safety officer, which comes to an annual cost of $203,000. This is assuming top step for the position and includes all related tax and benefits costs as well. We have included a backhoe totaling $175,000. This backhoe will be used by operations to repair leaks, replace broken valves, install new services, and more. We have included $130,000 for spare rollers for both the Horton and the Nancy Wright treatment facilities. We currently don't have any spare rollers, which would cause a disruption in operations if they went down. The lead time on ordering new rollers is at least a few weeks, possibly months. In the event the rollers went down, we would have nowhere to store sludge. When the sludge gets old, the biology stops treating the wastewater, which can also result in regulatory fines. I may not be the most knowledgeable on wastewater treatment, but I have been told this is the most important piece of machinery that we own related to wastewater. We have included $160,000 for water 6-inch and 8-inch clay valves. These are for the replacement of 25 years plus valves throughout the water system. Though some situations may not require the change of the entire clay valve or just a portion, the clay valves have not lasted as long as expected after replacing pieces. It has actually been more cost effective to change the entire clay valve and will result in less maintenance costs and water service disruptions in the future. We have also included the cost of living increase for staff of 2.91%, which was based on the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, for urban wage earners and clerical workers in Riverside, Ontario, and San Bernardino areas. This increase was recommended by the HR committee and approved by the board last month. We have included $60,000 for manhole bug spraying. This gets done every other year. I have it as a budget change because it wasn't in the prior year budget. This is to reduce the number of pests and stop them from going through laterals and ending up in homes and businesses. We included $100,000 for a wastewater pre-treatment consultant. This consultant will be performing industrial waste treatment assessments on the program we established that coincides with Article 6 of our sewer ordinance. They will perform site assessments and visits to all industrial sites, while identifying regulatory and operational gaps and providing recommendations on compliance. Lastly, we added $75,000 to the operating budget for bioxide for the Dos Palmas lift station injection. This will help extend the useful life of the odor control media, which did come up during mid-year budget because the useful life of the previous media was not as long as we were expecting. This will also improve employee safety due to the reduction in hydrogen sulfide levels, as well as help alleviate manhole degradation. Does anyone have any questions on the operating budget changes before we move on? Oh, thank you. This brings us to the proposed changes to the capital budget. We are proposing a 115,000 increase to the well rehabilitation program for well 22. This is to account for additional contract time and unforeseen site conditions. A well pump pad needed to be removed and replaced. We are requesting an additional 211,000 for the 19th to 20th Avenues and Little Morongo roadway project. This is for minor design costs and construction of 980 feet of 12-inch water lines along 19th Avenue. This work will be incorporated into the roadway improvement project. This concludes the PowerPoint. Does anyone have any questions before we move on to the other handouts? All right, would you mind bringing up the capital improvement? There we go. Okay. You will see a document that I handed out titled Capital Improvement Program Projects. This contains all capital projects data for the upcoming fiscal year, taken directly out of our budget book. We are still making minor changes to the budget book, but I did want to show you the capital portion. No more changes to the capital budget are expected at this time. Continuing appropriations from fiscal year 2026 total 181 million, meaning we have 181 million in prior budget approvals that we are carrying forward into fiscal year 2027. Projects proposed and or completed for fiscal year 2027 lists projects that we are planning to close in fiscal year 2026 as negative amounts, and the newly requested amounts for fiscal year 2027 that we discussed as positive amounts. The final for fiscal year 2027 column represents final capital appropriations for fiscal year 2027, totaling 180.9 million. Out of this amount, we expect 15 projects to be completed in fiscal year 2027, totaling 43.3 million. Does anyone have any other questions related to the capital project budget before we move on?
No, proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. And then can we go to the budget comparison report? Okay, lastly, I have handed out a report titled Budget Comparison Report. This shows the detail line by line for every single account directly out of our new Tyler Enterprise Resource Planning or ERP system. This shows a comparison of fiscal year 2025 actuals, fiscal year 2026 year-to-date actuals, fiscal year 2026 budget, and the fiscal year 2027 proposed budget. For the account number, the segment will be the fund number. For example, Fund 101 is the general fund. The funds that start with a 2 are water. The funds that start with a 3 are sewer. The second segment will be the department number. I also included a department listing behind the budget comparison report to identify the department related to each account. The third segment is called the object code, or what the account is actually for. For example, for the first account listed on the report, object code 60000 means generally purpose property taxes. This account is in the general fund and property tax department. Some new accounts were created in Tyler and some old Unidata accounts were combined. This resulted in large percentage increases or decreases in various accounts. I would suggest comparing the totals for comparative purposes. This is the report that I used to determine when revenue budgets needed to be adjusted based on prior year actuals. One thing you will notice is I increased property taxes across the board by a total of $1.5 million. We consistently have received more than budgeted, and property taxes are expected to go up by a minimum of 2% every year for the increase in assessed value, and more when properties change hands and that assessed value is increased. You will see a decrease in investment income as discussed earlier to be more in line with prior year results. For salaries and wages, I started at top step and applied the cost of living adjustment of 2.91%. If the line item totals were not consistent with prior year actuals, I then adjusted as appropriate. You will see the new position, the Regulatory Compliance and Safety Officer, added in the General and Administrative Department, which is department number 500. You will see that we consolidated our IT agreements into the IT department, so the increases will look large, but this was just moving agreements from various departments into IT to make them more manageable. You will see the increase in backup facility charges discussed earlier. You will see electric costs as a whole were decreased by $245,000 to be consistent with prior year results. Costs should decrease as we get more of our solar panels up and running. The Well 33 solar site repairs are expected to be completed in July.
And I'm sorry, just to make sure, the discount we're anticipating to increase.
The discount?
The discount on the electric, we're expecting to increase.
The
Should
credit we
stay the same. The
Yes.
credit we increase, but yes, the total cost for energy should go down.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep,
Just
correct.
making sure, same page.
And then I don't expect for you to have all your questions related to the details already. I can answer any that you do have now and can answer the rest in the future, whether at the study session or in a one-on-one meeting if you prefer. Thank you, and that concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any final questions.
Before we go through that, I just want to add something, only because what we have up on the screen, there's a lot of deviations from a comparison from. Just keep in mind that this is a new system, and we were trying to create a roadmap from the Unidata system into Tyler, and to do that with the new, trying to make sure that all of our suffixes, prefixes, and job numbers all lined up. There were significant changes in some of those funds. So in reality, when you're looking through this, there's a couple things that I would stress that you look at. And when you look at each line item, expect some large variances. Also, when you look at the totals, for example, total revenue going up 9%, those are the big numbers that I would look at, because you'll go through it. And if you look at water revenue, if you can scroll down to the 200 account in revenue.
I think you want to go down one more.
More.
Oh.
So
Yeah, you will see a large increase, but that is related to the DWA assessment that I discussed. If you scroll up, let me see.
this is right.
Yeah, you'll see a negative budget amount of 1.9 million labeled groundwater replenishments. So that is what I discussed for both the revenue and the expense. You'll see negative budgets in the prior years for those. I am not sure why I corrected them in the current year, because if you see the actuals to the left of it, we post positive amounts to these accounts. So maybe it was a mistake or oversight, but for comparative purposes, it kind of makes us look like we have a very large increase when we don't. It's just because that negative budget was reducing the budget in the prior year, and then now we have a positive, which creates a $3.8 million variance when there is not one. So.
That is so funny because it's the exact circled item I had with questions. So how interesting.
And then when you look at, in this particular case, if you look at total revenue for our water fund, and that's the bold number there, you'll see that it goes up 10.6%.
Yeah.
If you think about our rates going up 9% plus new services come on, from a big totality, it makes sense. But when you look at line item to line item, sometimes it's hard to.
Absolutely. And I would be concerned if there weren't a lot of changes on a brand new roadmap that we're creating from scratch. So I would hope that this is cleaning up several decades of very archaic systems, and that and I wouldn't be surprised if there would be some additional moving that has to be done to tighten everything up in the future. I am very grateful for the plenitude of information you have given us to review. Do I have any initial questions from the board right now?
It just looks a lot better than our last.
Sure.
I mean, hopefully, once all the work is done to transfer it over, it just helps everybody out.
I agree completely. How about you, Vice President? Anything to comment?
Nope.
Okay. No. Okay. So I think that you're probably going to get peppered pretty hard at the study session, but
I expect
we have a lot to digest here, and we appreciate all the work that's gone in by everyone, including yourself, in transferring all of this into the new system. And we are so grateful we have it.
Thank you
Yay.
very much.
Is there anything else from staff that we should know before we move to the next item?
No, I think we're.
No.
Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, we will go to number 8, website redesign review. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. I'll ask our Assistant General Manager, Marion Champion, to provide this information.
Thank you, General Manager Macy, and thank you, members of the board. A few months ago, you may recall, I brought you a contract for a new website. And since that time, staff has been very busy working with the contractor towards implementation. While we really liked our old site, it's now more than 5 years old, and as technology goes, it was starting to show some wear and tear. It was built on the MuniCode platform, which MuniCode was subsequently bought out, and technology upgrades are no longer being supported. This really impacts us in especially in the accessibility space, and we've had some specific items we want to address. Another feature of the new site that I will be briefly sharing with you is the mobile side of the house. Based on our specific MSWD.org analytics, we know that 50% of our users are accessing our website either from a phone or a tablet. If any of you have gone to our site recently on your phone, you probably noticed that the menus can sometimes get stuck behind graphics, making it harder to access certain areas of our site. This new site is very mobile friendly and 100% accessible based on the newest government requirements. Before we go any further, I wanted to give you with the design with our contractor, I wanted to give you a quick preview on the direction we're going with the new site and the layout. Please note this is just a draft version of the site, and we have not yet started to transfer any of our pages or any of our data into the new template. Once we get the design locked in, we'll begin the task of creating the new pages and reviewing them for accuracy before we go live. Kurt, I'm going to pull that over. So we had some specific design key elements that we wanted to include. We wanted to make sure that we stuck to our branding colors. We've invested a lot of time and effort into our brand. It's very easy to spot MSWD documents when they're laying on a counter. You can tell what is from our organization versus another organization. We also wanted to make sure that our new website was not static. We love our current site, but the image is a bit dated, and you've probably seen it a million times if you've gone visit our site. So the new site, we wanted to make sure that it had some of those characteristics. If you look at the top menu bar, hover on the About Us, please, you'll notice that we're going to continue with our mega menu layout. We really like that feature. We like being able to go to pretty much any area of the site and have that available on any page that you go to on our website. The center console, the categories are staying the same. We're not changing our site layout or our menus or anything. We're keeping all that pretty much the same. So if people are familiar with our site, they'll be able to continue to find things. This center console area, go ahead and hit that. You'll notice this is a carousel that will automatically move through different images every 5 seconds. This will be customizable. So whenever we have something new, like maybe we have an event that we want to talk about, maybe we're promoting this month the Help to Others program, or maybe we want to show our rates at work and we want to show an infrastructure project. We'll be able to highlight those things with a graphic here. And then where it says the city right now on this template, you can see we'll be able to put some descriptors in there, and then you'll be able to click for more information. We'll still have access to all of our social feeds from the top, and we'll have the search button up at the top. If you scroll down a little bit, Kurt. So again, news, events, and being able to get things in front of our customers front and center is really important to us. Our current site, you really have to kind of scroll down. You have to dig to get to some of our important information, especially when, if we have an emergency that we want to broadcast. We want to make that very, very in everyone's face as soon as they come to the homepage. The news and events, here we'll be able to put copies of our newsletters. We'll be able to do press releases. Any type of news article that we release will be here in this left-hand side slider, and then all of the events. So that would be any kind of closures we may have. If we have a board meeting, you'll be able to access that information directly here on the right side. And then you'll notice when Kurt just now scrolled, you'll notice that the bar along the bottom stays static. And we did that on purpose. That is intentional. We want to make sure that, things that are important on our homepage, like the agendas, to get to our careers area, the RFPs and bids information, really important, the start or stop information. Thank you, Kurt. That's a page that customers go to very frequently. It's right there, the contact us page, and then logging into our customer portal. So that will remain static on any page that customers may go to on our website. In the bottom footer, we didn't have a lot of bottom footer area in the last one, and we wanted to enhance that. So you'll notice that we'll be able to have our contact us information, quick links for the pages that are most are used by our customers. And then we've added something about awards and recognition. So we're going to be able to highlight, we do win a lot of awards. We go out and we're very active in that space. So I want to be able to put that there on our site. So those will have bugs, and each of those bugs will go to an interior page with more information. That's where we're going with the home page right now. The interior design, if you're at the top, Kurt, you should be able to go to About Us, click on Example. This is an example of what one of the interior pages may look like. The space underneath where it's under says example for mega menu, that's where we would put in content. And then you would have your menu there on the side. Again, this is just still in development, so we don't have those pages all written out, but you can see the direction that we're going with it all. Kurt, you want to pull up the mobile for me, please? I wanted to show you an example of what the mobile, this is the site that you just saw. These are screenshots from the site you just saw. You'll see that mobile is very clean. Before, as I mentioned, if you go into our site right now, the graphics sometimes get on top of the menus and it gets a little bit frustrating. But here you can actually scroll down. If you scroll down, you'll see the first picture on the left is when you first open it up. Then you'll see get to the buttons are there, news and events, and it just continues with each of the other items. We're also looking at some options of possibly putting some of our social media feeds on the homepage. We're looking to see how we like that, how it's going to lay out. If we do that, it'll be under the news and events area of our site. The new platform is a bit of a learning curve as we're starting to learn, especially on the meeting management and agenda management side, but that is going very well as well. The other component of that is our forms. We've already started utilizing some of the new forms on our current website. So if all goes as planned, by this fall, we'll be ready to launch this. It really depends on how the content migration goes over, and then the QA check will be going through all the pages and making sure that all the links are current and everything moves over seamlessly. So we should be on track though for this fall for a full launch. And with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you. Director Martin.
Nope.
Director Sewell.
No, just looks good. I think staying on top of it's good so we don't fall way behind. I think our site before this last one was up for quite some time. So thank you.
Vice President.
Thanks.
And thank you. I agree. This looks great. I'm excited to see the finished product. And have you given any consideration in a capital improvements page?
We do have an area right now for projects, and we base it on what's in the budget book. So typically once a year, we go through and we refresh that area. And we'd like to take information directly from the budget book so that it ties together. And we will once again do that.
I think that's valuable. Thank you very, very much. This was a great presentation.
Thank you.
Seeing no further questions and none from the public, I assume?
We do not have anyone online.
Thank you. All right, so that'll move us to comments. General Manager's comments, please.
Thank you, President, members of the board. There is going to be a Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce Annual Installation and Business Awards on Tuesday, June 9th from 5:30 to 8. Just want to make sure that's on everyone's calendar. Also, we have had a request from Cabot Management to reschedule our meeting on earlier in the day on June 9th, rescheduling it to June 22nd. If the board is available for that meeting on the 22nd, I would ask that the board consider making the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce meeting compensable for board members to attend.
Okay. Any discussion?
But Yeah, I was gonna say if it's really one of those things, if we cancel the meet, we've been asked to cancel the meeting. If we do so, then that's the compensable side. But also the second part of that for me selfishly is to make sure we can make that schedule for the following month or the 22nd of June. So it's a two-prong, but I think you're right. The first thing is compensable.
I'm concerned about postponing this hearing again, which doesn't sit really well because I'd like to see some finality and action coming to that. So I'm disappointed that they're wanting to push it again, and I really would like to make sure we get it done in the month of June.
So to add to that, yes, they had started providing additional information for us to review. And unfortunately, when we reviewed it, there were some dates missing and some context missing. So for them to get that information pulled together, they had to postpone the meeting. So we're trying to get all the information so the board can review all of the information that they want to present. They're just not ready to present at this time.
Vice President, go ahead.
I can't do the 22nd, sorry.
Okay, then we'll try to find a different date. So I'll work with them to try to come up with that.
And then in regards to the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce, this is an award for our district. And I know we would like to see the board there. So I have no opposition in compensating board members that can attend.
Good with that.
Is everyone in
Yep.
agreement with that?
Perfect.
Okay, so that sounds good.
Lastly, for those of you that haven't heard, as you know, there was a court case regarding hexavalent chromium. The judge did issue a ruling in favor of the state. That does not change MSWD in any of our compliances. We were continuing to move forward as if the judge did rule in this favor. I know that some of the folks that were listed as the plaintiff in that case are looking to appeal, and I will update the board when more information becomes available. So please look out for an email from me with that actual ruling from the judge. So you'll see that coming later today. That concludes our comments.
Thank you very much. Anything? Director Sewell?
No.
Director Martin?
No.
Vice President?
I have none.
I have nothing as well, other than I do look forward to seeing that ruling and keeping on with our goal of maintaining whatever healthy standards the state and federal government lay upon us.
Well, with that being said, I do want to thank Danny and his staff. As you know, as part of our Chrome 6 compliance, they've been working very diligently to bring wells 28 and 30 back in line. 30 had run into some a little bit of issues with the rehab, so therefore we were able to change the crossing because we may expect that crossing to be there longer than we originally anticipated. So I know his staff worked very hard to redo that over, I forget, it was one night they were able to put underground that. So I appreciate Danny's help as well as his staff. So thank you, Danny.
And I concur with those gratitudes. I've had several community members praising the district for correcting that and for saving their shocks and their car. So thank you for looking outside the box and for your staff going above and beyond to protect our community as always. Thank you. Anything further from the staff or from the board? Okay, with that, we have director's comments and requests. Do we have any general comments or requests for future agenda items or meetings? Director Martin?
No.
Director Sewell? And Vice President? All right, with that, we will conclude today's meeting and look forward to our study session on Thursday,
June 10th.
June 10th at 3 p.m. Thank you, and that will conclude today's meeting.
The June 10th? What is it? What is it?
Study session.
Right in this